Welcome to today's class of how do organisms reproduce. In today's class, we are going to read about sexual reproduction in animals, especially in human beings. In case of human beings, the sexual reproduction starts with puberty. Now, puberty is the age when all the energy of the organism is channelized in the development of the reproductive organs and in the formation of the gametes. Because without the fertilization of the gametes, the new individual cannot be developed, isn't it? So that's the reason why you will see after the attainment of age of 10 or 12, all the growth is totally channelized to that of attainment of full sexual maturity, because that is the target of the organism to become reproductively active, be it a male or a female. Now, puberty starts in case of females slightly earlier than that of the male. In case of the females, the girl, when she reaches the age of 10 to 12, the puberty starts in her. It starts with the onset of menarche, that is a menstrual cycle. That is, her ovary becomes functional, and because of the functional ovary, under the influence of the hormones released by the pituitary gland, anterior pituitary gland, the ovary becomes functional. The follicles inside the ovary, which she is born with, those follicles now starts developing further and then they rupture. So when they rupture and they release the ovum, that process is called as your ovulation. And when the ovulation takes place, if on the day the ovulation has taken place, on that day or the next day, that is within the 24 hours of the ovulation or 48 maximum hours of ovulation, if the egg is fertilized by a mature sperm, a healthy sperm, then fertilization takes place. And if it does not, then what happens is that the egg is destroyed. And during that span of time when the ovulation process is going on, the uterus of the female also develops in the sense what? That is, the thickening of the uterine layer takes place, as a result of which now it is strong enough to implant or to accept the fertilized egg. So when the fertilization does not take place, the egg is released out of the body along with that of the sloughing off of the uterine inner layers. So since it is made up of blood capillaries, it is made up of tissue, mucus, so it is released out of the body in the form of blood, mucus along with the destroyed egg, which we call it to be the menstrual cycle. So this menstrual cycle, when it starts in a female, it is called menarche, and when it stops, that is when a female reaches to an age of 45 to 50, then this system of menstrual cycle of 28 days in every month, it stops in her. That means she is no longer capable of producing the ovum. So this process is known as your menopause. So that is the reproductive, you can say, the lifespan in case of the human female. As far as the puberty in case of the human beings goes, in case of the male, in case of male, the puberty starts a little bit late. It starts within an age of 11 to 13 years, and there are also certain special changes in the body of the male, that is the formation of the pubic hairs, the formation of hair in the certain regions of the body, including the beard, the mustache, the voice cracks in them, the gonads become functional, that is in them the spermatogenesis starts, that is sperm formation starts, and also a male hormone is secreted which is called as your testosterone, because of which the secondary sexual characteristics appear in the human male, that is the shoulders become broad, body becomes muscular, voice cracks. So all those things happens in case of the human male. So these are the various changes which happens in puberty in both male and female, so that they attain their reproductive maturity. That means the gonads become functional and now they are capable of reproducing. So let us first see the male reproductive system. Now before we move on to the male reproductive system or to the female reproductive system, one thing must be very clear, that the reproductive organ which is associated with a gamete formation, that reproductive organ will be called as your primary reproductive organ. So in case of male, a pair of testes is the primary reproductive organ, and in case of female, a pair of ovaries is the primary reproductive organ, because they will be producing ovum, and in case of male, the testis will be producing the sperms. Besides these two, that is the testis and the ovary, the other organs which is associated with the male reproductive system and with the female reproductive system, they are called the accessory reproductive organs. Why accessory? Because they will be helping the meeting of the male and the female gametes so that fertilization takes place. They are not producing gametes, isn't it? So when they are not producing gametes, they are not primary. So primary means which is producing gametes, and accessory means those organs which will be helping in the mating or in the fusion of the male and the female gamete. So let us begin with the male reproductive system first and see what are the male reproductive organs associated. So for that, let us look at a little bit closer so that it becomes easier for you to understand. So this is the male reproductive system. In this male reproductive system, you see this is a side view, okay, lateral view. So that is why only one testis is visible. If it is the frontal view, then on the two sides of the body, that is the lower abdomen, in a bag, in a muscular bag-like structure, which this bag is known as your scrotum, the oval shaped testes are lying. Now why this testis is held below the abdomen, there is a reason, is that our body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, and that temperature is not at all suitable for the sperms which will be producing inside the testis for its formation and maturation. So that is the reason why the testes are held below the your abdomen in case of male, so as to maintain at least 2 to 3 degrees Celsius less than the body temperature. So that is the purpose of the testis being outside the body, outside the abdomen. Okay, next, from this testis you can see this that is your some ducts are arising, isn't it? These ducts are arising. Now these ducts are of various types. At first it is called retitestis, then it is called epididymis, and after that they join together to form the that is your vas deferens. But in your syllabus so many things are not there, so we are not going for that. You will be just remembering that a pair of testes is there, from there ducts are arising. The sperms which are produced in the testis are taken by those ducts, network of ducts, and these network of ducts unite together to form a common duct. Now this duct is called as your vas deferens. Okay, this duct is called as your vas deferens. Now this vas deferens encircles over the ureter. Now this blue color thing which I have drawn, and this is a bladder. Now which bladder it is? It is urinary bladder. So in the urinary bladder, the urine is accumulated by the help of the ureter. You can see from the bladder also there is a common duct here, and this is this that is vas deferens which is coming, that is also joining to this common duct. So in case of male, there is a common opening for the passage of urine from the bladder as well as for the passage of the sperms through this common duct. Okay, but in case of female, the openings for the passage of urine and for receiving the sperms are separate. But in case of male, they have only one opening, which is the common duct, which is a combination of the duct arising from that of the bladder and that the vas deferens which is joining to it. Now while it is this bladder is there, at the base of the bladder you can see that there are certain glands. Now this red color gland which I have drawn, that gland is known as your prostrate gland. Now this prostrate gland is the one which is producing certain substances, certain secretions. This one is called as your Cowper's glands. Now Cowper gland is not given in your book, but you have to read it, that there are 3 male glands which are producing their secretion together and pouring into this common duct. This vas deferens which is coming, no, all these 3 glands are pouring their secretion into this common duct, which along with the sperm is known as your semen, because the sperms to give them nutrition, to give them motility, the secretion of these 3 glands are necessary. What are the 3 glands? Prostrate gland, Cowper's gland, this is also known as bulbourethral gland, but Cowper's is easier for you to understand or to memorize, so you can write Cowper's gland. Okay, and this one, the third one, is known as your seminal vesicle. Okay, so seminal vesicle, Cowper's gland and prostrate gland togetherly pour a secretion which is alkaline in nature, which is having some nutrients in it, certain that is your mucus in it, along with that of the sperm which is coming and joining with them for that common duct to be ejaculated out of the body, so that the sperms are motile, so that the sperms are getting its maturity as well as it is getting it the supply of nutrition for their that is survival. So this is all about the male reproductive organs, and this is of course the external genitalia, that is the penis in case of male, which will be actually ejaculating the sperms, which will be in millions into the vagina of the female. Okay, so this is the male reproductive system in case of human beings, which we have studied. Now let us move on to the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system comprises of a structure which is present in the abdominal part, in the pelvic portion of the female, on the two sides of the abdomen, that is just where the kidney is there, just prior to that. This is the structure of the female reproductive system, and what it comprises of is pair of ovaries, as I told you. Now this pair of ovaries is held to the uterine, that is outer to the uterine wall, by the help of ligaments. These two are the ligaments, these are called the ovarian ligaments, and this is the, you can see finger like projections of the oviduct, which is actually holding a somewhat near proximity to that of the ovary, and this is the tube like structure which is called the fallopian tube. This is also known as fallopian tube, or it is known as oviduct, on both the sides of the female reproductive system, and in the center there is a inverted pear like structure. Now this inverted pear like structure is slightly dome shaped at the top, and you can see that that it is lined with the blood capillaries, okay, and it is ending into common, narrow channel which is known as your cervix, into another long tube like structure which is called the vagina. Now vagina is also known as the birth canal in case of the female, and this bag like structure is called the uterus, and this is the wall where the ovum, suppose if this is the ovum, okay, this is in the follicle, it is released. Now this ovum will be taken, it will be traveling, and finally if it gets fertilized with a sperm, then it results into a zygote, and this zygote implantation will take place in the ovarian wall. Okay, it will take place in the ovarian wall, and what will happen is that there will be the development of the tissues around this zygote, and as a result the further development of the that is the embryo will take place in the uterine wall. So this is about the female reproductive system in case of human beings, having two ovaries held by the ovarian ligaments, dome shaped structure called uterus, then a narrow opening called the cervix, and the vagina, which is also known as the birth canal, and this is known as your oviduct or fallopian tube. Okay, so let us move further. What happens next if the gamete is produced and mature? So when the gametes are formed as a result of spermatogenesis in the testis and oogenesis, the word is called oogenesis. Oogenesis means formation of egg, that is called oogenesis, and release of egg from the ovary, that is called ovulation. So when ovulation takes place in the 14th day of the menstrual cycle, the ovum is mature. So when this mature ovum is released and it is carried by that of the oviduct, it is moving into the oviduct, and during that time, if the sperms happen to enter through the that is vagina into the uterus, and they travel on the two sides of the oviduct, and they happen to meet with a mature ovum, in that case fertilization can take place. Okay, so if the fertilization takes place, that will result into formation of zygote. Now the zygote will multiply into a mass of cell. Now this mass of cell will be called as your embryo. Now this embryo will be actually implanted into the inner wall of the uterus. Now when it will be implanted into the inner wall of the uterus, there will be a kind of new structure which will be formed. Now how will be it forming? It will be forming due to the capillary networks of this uterine wall, okay, this uterine wall with that of certain that is your villi like projections from that of this embryo. So there will be an interdigitation. So when there will be an interdigitation, a functional unit will be created. Now this functional unit is a disc like structure. Now this disc like structure is called as your placenta. Now placenta is such a connection between that of the mother and that of the developing embryo through which exchange of material takes place. Now what exchange of material takes place? Exchange of waste products, exchange of gases, exchange of simplified food materials like that of your glucose, the energy, that is your simple form of food substances, amino acids, proteins, everything get exchanged between the fetus and that of the developing mother. Here in this case, I would like to tell you about a difference between fetus and that of the embryo. Although you might be knowing, but still let us recapitulate it. Embryo means up to 8 weeks. Okay, up to 8 weeks will be called as that structure will be called as your embryo, and after that is your 8 weeks, then when the embryo organogenesis starts, formation of limbs starts, formation of eyes starts, formation of other body parts starts, then we will be calling it to be a fetus. So fetus is when the more development of the embryo takes place, formation of limbs takes place, formation of eyes, eyelids and various other things takes place, that will be called as your fetus. In case of human beings, this implantation which is done and the further development after this implantation, there is a 9 months period of development which is within the mother's uterine cavity. That is called as your gestation period, and this gestation period in case of human beings is 38 weeks or 280 days, or you can say 9 months. Okay, whichever is easy for you to memorize, you can memorize it. 9 months is easy to memorize, so you can memorize 9 months. So up to 9 months, the development of the, you can say, the fetus takes place within the mother's uterine cavity, and after that, when the 9 months are completed, then what happens is that due to some release of hormone, again release of hormone from the pituitary gland, the contraction of the uterine muscles takes place. This uterus is muscular, so it will contract. So when it will be contracting, what happens is that that will result into the expulsion of the child, fully developed child, from this birth canal into the outer world, and that is what is called as your parturition. So this will be leading to parturition, and the hormone, although is not mentioned, but that hormone is called oxytocin. So oxytocin hormone released from the pituitary gland will result into contraction, vigorous contraction of the uterine muscles, resulting into the process of birth. And after the birth, just after the birth, few hours after that, the placenta which was formed, which was a connection between that of the mother and that of the developing embryo, that is the fetus, that also will be released out of the body. That will also be expelled out of the body. One more thing, the placenta and that is the fetus, the developing embryo, is connected by a cord like structure. That cord is called as your umbilical cord. It also contains artery and vein. Okay, it is also you can say that is the intimate connection between that of the placenta and the developing embryo, through which exchange of things are coming from the placenta going to the fetus, and the waste is generated, nitrogenous waste is generated, carbon dioxide is generated, that is again released back through that to the placenta, and it is released out of the mother's body. So this is all about the reproduction in case of human beings today, which we have studied. First, we have studied about the male reproductive system, what is primary and accessory reproductive system, what are the changes that takes place during puberty both in male and female. Then what is the primary and accessory reproductive organs in case of female, how does the process of ovulation takes place, what happens if the fertilization takes place, that results into implantation results into then your gestation, that is a time of 9 months, and after that, when the child is fully developed, then because of the release of hormone from the pituitary, that is oxytocin hormone, the contraction of uterine muscles takes place, resulting into the childbirth. Okay, so this is about the sexual reproduction in case of human beings, which is internal. Okay, why it is internal? Because see, it is happening inside the mother's body, isn't it? Inside the uterus of the mother. In certain organisms, fertilization takes place outside the body, but those organisms are amphibians and that of your fishes. But as far as the birds are concerned, as far as the reptiles are concerned, as far as the mammals are concerned, the fertilization is always internal. external. Internal fertilization is more protective. The child development is more protective compared to that of the external fertilization, because in case of external fertilization, the gametes can be wasted. It has to depend upon the external agency for the process of fertilization. The gametes can be eaten up by the some predator organisms residing in the water bodies, or even after the fertilization has taken place, all may not result into fertilized organisms, because those can be also eaten up by the predator organisms. So that is why internal fertilization is more advantageous compared to that of the external fertilization. Next, we will be taking upon the reproductive health in our next class.